حي على الفلاح.
What I want to share with you in these few minutes that I have is a strategy, a plan. I don't want to just present a problem to you. I think we have a really good time talking about problems, but we don't spend enough time talking about serious solutions. We have to not just think in the ideal sense. I don't just want to tell you what used to happen at the time of Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, or what happened 8 centuries ago. That's awesome, but what do we do right now? How do we can't just press a button and travel back in time. It's not going to happen. We have to not complain about the reality we live in. We have to understand the reality we live in and make the most of the reality we live in. I'll give you an analogy to express what I'm talking about. There used to be a beautiful garden, huge trees. It was just gorgeous. And one day some people came and burnt the whole thing down. It's gone. It's just completely destroyed. And it's been 20 years that we've been talking about this burnt down garden. If we just spent those 20 years doing what? Doing what? Planting some seeds, putting some water. What would have happened in 20 years? We would have had the garden all over again, right? We would have had it all over again. What have we done? We have made it a habit to talk about the problems of the ummah, and we want the garden to reappear instantaneously. It takes planning, it takes effort, it takes patience, and it takes little growth at a time. It takes small steps at a time to be able to revitalize what was once destroyed. We can't just cry about that garden that once was. We have to replant. We have to rebuild. And really, by the way, if you take a tree from somewhere else and you force it into the ground, is that tree going to survive? No. Why not? What's missing? The roots are not deep, and they're not artificial, and they're not genuine. They're not genuine. So just the smallest storm, and what's going to happen? It'll tip over. We want Islam to become a reality in the world, but we don't just want it to become an artificial reality in the world. We want it to be a sustained reality in the world. Sustainability of all the institutions that we build, all the efforts that we make. Now, a conference like this one, where so many of you have gathered, this is not sustainable. We can only do this once a year, maybe twice a year, maybe. Right? This is not something you can do on a regular basis. But we have to understand that the real thing to build in this generation, in this day and age, the fitna that we face of this, and I'm only talking about one particular fitna, how the ummah overwhelmingly is disconnected from the Quran. That's one fitna I'm talking about, of the many fitnas that we have. If you want to address this problem, the most important thing is investing in people themselves. Investing in people. Some people argue if we had money, we'd be able to do X, Y, Z. If we had government, we'd be able to do X, Y, Z. If we had, infrastructure, or if we had control over the media, if we had this or that or the other. Listen, there are Muslim nations who have a lot of resources. There are Muslim nations who have control over many media outlets, etc., etc. But there's something still missing. And what is missing is people. What's really missing is people. We have to build people. Now I'll tell you a realistic vision that I have in my head. I don't think it's like a fantasy. I think it's realistic. Honestly, I think it's realistic. If we take a strategic plan of revitalizing Qur'an's education, Islamic education, and actually at the heart of it all, personally, I believe Arabic education. I am a very strong believer in Arabic education for the entire ummah. Okay? And I think Arabic education, by the way, is the most important part of all of this. You know why? What does Arabic do? It connects a population directly with their book, right? Which has many advantages. I'll just talk to you about a couple of them, then I'll talk to you about the 10-year strategy or the thought that I have. Look, if you go to a mechanic and you don't know anything about cars, can the mechanic take advantage of you? Can he say, are you going for an oil change, and he says you need a new transmission, you need a new timing belt, I think you have to replace your engine, etc., etc. Can he do that? He could. And if you don't know anything about cars, you will be taken for a ride. Human beings, when they have, because he has knowledge you don't have. When one group of people has knowledge that other people need, and they hold it to themselves, then there is a tendency that one group will be able to take advantage of another group. Now, if you're not an expert in cars, but at least you have a basic education in cars. You know what a timing belt is, you know what a transmission is, you know where the antifreeze fluid goes, etc., etc. And your mechanic says you need a new engine or you need a new timing belt. You can just take a quick look at it and say, actually, I don't. It's not easy to take advantage of you because you have yourself at least some direct access to authentic information. You with me so far? In the religious realm, this is not limited to Islam, but includes Islam. People get taken advantage of. Muslims get taken advantage of, just like Christians and Jews and Hindus get taken advantage of when a small group of people have knowledge and the vast majority of people are not even minimally educated. They're not even educated in the minimum. So I depend on this sheikh or this imam to tell me everything and I need to know nothing. Is it possible that we have handed too much power to one human being? And is it possible that even though they have an Islamic education, it's okay, yeah, it's okay. I like sweating, it's the thing. Okay. Is it possible that even though they have an Islamic education, that there may be an element of corruption? Is it possible? Absolutely. I can tell you honestly, just because somebody studies Islam, including myself, doesn't mean we're a good person. Those are two different things. We don't have a clergy culture. We don't have a popifying culture. Unfortunately, it has developed in the Muslim world. It has happened. And it has happened as a result of a lack of standardizing the education of the Quran, standardizing the education of the Sunnah, of the Seerah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because people don't know even a minimal amount, they have to kind of resort to personalities and just latch onto them. This is not the way that it's supposed to be. So now, a bit about the strategy, just very quickly. I think, by the way, let me see a show of hands. How many people here work full-time? Work full-time, okay. How many ladies here are, full-time moms? Or full-time mothers, okay. How many teenagers in the audience? I want to see. Teenagers? College students? College students? Okay. So it's a diverse demographic in the audience. Now, all these different groups of people, the elders in our community, sorry, I didn't ask about the young at heart. How many people with gray beards but still young at heart? Yeah, okay, very good. Okay. So I have one gray here. I feel your pain. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is every segment of our population can actually be, a program of education can be created for every segment of our population based on what can actually work for them. Not everybody can give up their life and go study somewhere. We can't do that. Not everybody can learn full time. Not everybody can learn overnight. Not everybody can learn within a year. But everybody should be on a journey of learning. Everybody here should be on a journey to educate themselves. And because of the advent of the internet, because of the advent of the explosion of information, we have to take advantage of this and create the best possible methods of teaching Arabic, of teaching the Quran, of teaching the Seerah, of teaching Islam. The best we can possibly do. We have to proliferate this now and offer people a chance to grow little by little by little by little. So within the next decade, you find an entire community of people that when they stand behind the Imam in Salah, in Taraweeh, even though they're not Hufaz of the Quran, when the Imam makes a mistake, they know it because they know Arabic that well. They could just tell, that's not an ayah, that can't be right. There should be an army of them. There's not a single Muslim woman in this community that should not be part of some kind of course or some kind of learning. We should be celebrating education. And I personally believe in women's education far more than I do in men's education. Because we don't even take notes and stuff. It hurts our hand, right? Women are serious learners. And these people, they're going to teach our kids. We don't teach anything, you know it. They teach our kids. We have to invest in women's education. But it will not happen from the men's side. We have to create these people. We have to build them from the ground up, and it's possible. It can be done. The most important investment of our time is in our people and in our youth. It's the most important investment of our times. If you have young people in your community that are already active, trying to learn their deen, trying to serve, they're good with children, they have a nice, easygoing personality, other younger kids gravitate towards them, you have to identify those boys and girls. And you have to invest in them. And you have to offer them the best religious and the best worldly education possible. Because we need highly intelligent leaders for tomorrow. Leaders that understand their religion and leaders that understand the world around them.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. If you enjoyed this video, please do share it with friends and family. If you want to see more videos from this series, click on the box at the top. If you want to see other videos, click on the box at the bottom. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks.